I was trying to adjust that. When Dev Varma was 8 years old, he wrote the best American novel. A year later, at the wiser age of 9, Dev destroyed the book in a bonfire in his parents' backyard. I knew the novel would only make me sad, Dev later said to me in a personal interview. At even the wiser age of 25, Dev, who now writes under the pseudonym D.H. Varma, has grown into a young man possessing the rare qualities of intelligence, a sense of humor, and sincerity. D.H. Varma is funny. He makes good jokes about Pokemon. He just texted me this afternoon. I feel like I'm always going to be a Squirtle in a Charizard kind of world. D.H. Varma is also smart. He lent me this book. But most of all, D.H. Varma, you did. D.H. Varma is honest, and he is good. And in and through his writing, D.H. Varma apologizes to his readers. He apologizes for his mastery, for the pristine, intricate beauty of his sentences, for the ease with which he delves inside and through his characters, for authoring them, then subsequently destroying the best American novel. D.H. Varma wonders, he contemplates, he worries, and it's all productive for him. Today you'll get a small glimpse of the fruits of that diligent, meticulous productivity. Dev is going to read the opening scene of his novella, the hyper-metafictional novella Within Without, abbreviated as WOWI, in which characters or words are characters working in a story factory, their lives manipulated by a godlike the author. I'm not actually reading from part, as you can see. And also from a collection of his more recent collection, Some People Claim, Some People Believe, in which GRE writing prompts become narrative frames for the exploration of the human condition through the multiple and singular character of none other than D.H. Varma, who is sometimes a mad scientist looking for love, online dating, sometimes a school teacher seriously considering nudism, and other times a sincere and up-and-coming young rapper named Little Phoenix. So please put your hands and feet and anything else together in thunderous applause to welcome this very honestly funny man, my BFF, Dev, aka Devtron, aka Little Cheeseburger, aka Little Phoenix.
Thanks everyone for coming out. I really appreciate it. And I also want to thank Crossroads. We had to kind of rush and put something together, and I'm really glad that y'all were able to have us. So it's kind of funny that Thirii mentioned that I like to apologize, because I was going to start with an apology. Because this opening scene may be a little graphic to some. There's some language, so if you don't like profanity, I suggest you leave. Okay, so yeah, like Thirii said, this is from a novella in progress called WOWI. Say it, he says, panting. Say it, Mew. He's on top of her, tensing up his love weight out and untensing it into her love tension. Oh, Mew says. The vowel, like a slice of cold lunch meat, dropped onto a kitchen counter. The cheap, itchy bed cover bunches in her hands. Her knees are up and spread. Her body rocks with his momentum. The cool of her nakedness and his nakedness warms to a hum in the muted brown unlight of their unlit bedroom. Say it, he says. His teeth grind. He springs hard himself into and out of the soft, the warm, the impenetrable her. And harder yet, so that the breath he was able to stifle before finally flares. Eee, she says. Eee. With these ease, he eases to turn her loose. Turn her loose, meaning initiate the move which turns her out or up and him in or down, so that in the offbeat between an inhale and an exhale, she is now up top, and the slapping of their unison takes on a whole new timbre. The volumes of her sides fit into the softs of his palms, and he holds her like this, gingerly, like one would a baby bouncing in one's lap. And in bouncing, her back arches into the beginning of a parenthesis, and her hair, it flecks down, catches some of her shoulder, and apostrophes while he, in the breath-basted, clapping pudding thick silence, makes a mental plea to the erotic ceiling to make her, since she is also facing, with her squint-eyed face, the ceiling as well, make her say his name, damn it, the name that will undo this lunulae of love-making, of throb-clotting tension, which only a repeated thudding with another body like hers, the source material of his only real understanding of mature, adult word to adult word love, now concaving toward him, down to him, with lips on his cheeks, his forehead, the constant contractual contacting, can create, oh please just end this goddamn need, this bleeding need that he is now bouncing from the top of his bottom into her, holding her there while he makes a mess of her, a mess of him, an incoherent smat of skin-tight consonants and hollow howled vowels, while from there the string of it, his name, starts its vibration up, and curving now to the throat of hers that now mouths into his ear just after another light kiss, his name, his splooge of an identity, his disaster of a vocation. Fuck, she says. The consonant K comes soft through her wet love lips and careens into his ear. Yes, there it is, his name. Though what should have undone all this built-up need only makes him push more, till there is air between him and the pillow, and instead of a word whose only job is to be his name at the scene mill from 9 to 5, where he is a handler and loader of bits, he is an engine, a piston of a thing, pissed now at his name, at his identity, his job, his whole existence is just a word. For a hot second, instead of being a dependable, responsible, never greedy, honest but stagnant entity at the lowest rung of the story creation hierarchy, instead of just a word, for this moment he can be something more, something otherwise than himself. Fuck, she says again, this time with her eyes gone, her head back again, lifelessly bumping with his motions wave up into her shoulders, her mouth slack like a giant ulcer, creating a new kind of wind. Fuck! She is screaming it now, and the chords of hers secrete in him a kind of stopping power. One more time and he will, not a piston but a pistol, he will go off, create and or destroy. Fuck, she says. And he does, he did. She rolls off of him, collecting the momentary incoherence in her lower belly. They stare at the ceiling, breathing. The orange of the streetlights peeks in through the blind tops. This is what words do when words are in love. Then they put their clothes back on, get ready for bed and sleep. He has work in the morning at the scene mill, and she housework and an afternoon of boredom to fill. That's it. So this is the first of a series called Some People Claim, Some People Believe. Like Thirii said, each of these is a reaction to a GRE essay prompt, which you can find on their website. So the title of this is the essay prompt. The human mind will always be superior to machines because machines are only tools of human minds. The mad scientist hopes, as he scours fields and ditches for dead bodies, that he will happen upon the woman of his dreams. You know, the one, perhaps a legging one, not too many warts, a good sense of sarcasm, likes Radiohead, or Iron and Wine. Or at least one with whom he can get along, someone, anyone. Doesn't even have to be mad, doesn't even have to like science. He can ease his commitment to his stated preferences, especially if it is for the love of his life. He starts online dating. Uploads pictures his humble assistant Igor takes of him with his lap foot off. He answers multiple choice question after multiple choice question on his personality, his views on art and politics, his desire for kinkiness in the bedroom. He sends messages to the women matched to him. It seems an understandable mechanism, a perfect polyamory between science, mathematics, technology, and personality dynamics. It's a mechanism that has worked for countless others. He believes that, after enough runs, the mechanism is sure to work for him. Months of silence ensue. Hundreds of messages go unanswered. Conversations fizzle out upon the mention of a hint of a date. So the mad scientist roams the fields and ditches for 6 or 7 hours at a time in the dead of night. This worries Igor sick, but the mad scientist tells Igor that these walks are cathartic. This, of course, is a lie. All an empty field on a deep purple night does is give the mad scientist free rein to worry. To worry about what he's entered online as his occupation, scientist. What he's entered online as his eye color, black. His favorite music, indie alternative. His height, 5'6". He's actually 5'5" without shoes on. But can an inch make such a great difference? He finds himself often on these nights in both a physical and existential ditch. Angst, as they call it. And he tries to lift himself out of this angst. He tells himself these women don't know what they're missing. They're missing a big sack of awesome. He's the cutest, most intellectual, kindest mad scientist he knows. But he's the only mad scientist he knows. This realization digs into him and leaves open in him a fresh angst, which catalyzes his bitterness at the whole mechanism. The inability of words and a picture on a web page to fully capture oneself. The inability of the multiple choice question format to satisfy one's sense of self. Then, he blames himself for believing so strongly in such a mechanism. It's enough to make one mad. Mad and desperate. So desperate that when he finds in a physical analog to his existential ditch, the body of a man closely resembling Don Johnson from Miami Vice, he sees an opportunity to reinvigorate his pursuit of the love of his life via continuing his lifelong work developing cyborgs from the dead. The mad scientist downloads into this dead Don Johnson doppelganger all the data pertaining to the mad scientist's algorithmically calculated matches. He installs the necessary software and hardware for photo recognition and sociability, essentially creating a bionic wingman. The mad scientist calls his bionic wingman Don Watson, though at the bar he introduces himself as Don. Don introduces the mad scientist to various women with whom he is at least a 70% match. The mad scientist has polite conversations with each one. They smile at his jokes. They respond with agreeability to what he says, using words like, totally, really interesting, or simply, yeah. He asks them about getting a cup of coffee. He asks about getting dinner. He asks for phone numbers. They each find their polite ways to demur and leave. Maybe it's his shirt. Maybe it's his breath. Don grins at him, reassuring him that his breath and shirt are both fine. He floats the idea that maybe 70% isn't high enough. So they wait for a 90% match to come along. They wait for an hour and a half. The mad scientist pulls at his shirt, awkwardly taking care that it doesn't drape awkwardly on his flabby, scrawny frame. He goes to the bathroom multiple times to arrange each strand of hair with a microscopic precision. As he leaves the bathroom for the last time, he sees Don talking to a gorgeous woman. Perhaps she is the mad scientist's 90% match. She leans toward Don, puts her drink right next to his. She bears her perfect smile at him. The way she watches him talk looks to the mad scientist like the way children look when they're watching their favorite cartoons. The mad scientist's heartbeat throbs through him like high heels echoing in an empty hallway. There is a sense that everything he has wanted is about to come to him. The mad scientist's remade mechanism will achieve its end. His steps are slow with the sincere belief that he is walking into his fate. His chest swells with pride at his creation. He envisions, after winning her heart, that he will buy the whole bar a round of drinks and will toast this newly perfected polyamory of science, mathematics, technology, personality, and now faith. The words press on the inside of his lips. To Don, he says to himself. But oftentimes, cliched fate waits till we're mid-stride to jar us completely. Don and the woman leave before the mad scientist return. They do this in plain sight, and the mad scientist goes speechless an inch away from shouting distance. When he sits to his beer, his hand shakes in tipping the half-empty pint to his dry mouth. He buys more pints and sips them in silence. He gets a pen from the bartender and draws on the back of coasters what look like schematics. Each time a woman enters, he glances over and looks ponderously at her, but this lasts only a moment until he returns to his designs. Whether they are designs for the creation of the love of his life or a tool of ultimate revenge is unsure, since the words and lines are both too minute and too distraught for legibility. The prompt for this next one, and my final one tonight, is the most effective way to understand contemporary culture is to analyze the trends of its youth. It was the beginning of the end for Lil Phoenix. After 3 straight weeks at the top of the Billboard charts for his singles Goes In Tight, the Sneeze Song, and Goes In Tight, the Sneeze Song Redux, featuring Sneezing by Rihanna, Jay-Z, Kanye West, Kid Cudi, and Rascal Flatts, he received an offer he couldn't refuse. Mr. Phoenix, the white men in suits said, "We at Doodad Inc. have noticed your meteoric rise on the charts and in the earbuds of today's young urban and suburban population. We would like to make you an offer you can't refuse." Excurvy, he asked, alluding to one of his most frequently used background lyrics, probably best translated as, "Excuse me?" "We want you to be Deputy Chief of Innovation for Doodad. We're prepared to offer you this figure." Little Phoenix's platinum-capped teeth shimmered with glee at the zeros scribbled on the scrap of paper one of the white men slid to him. So they gave him an office. They gave him a team of interns he handpicked. The interns were all diehard fans, all pretty white girls he told up front he wanted to sleep with. The office was more of a lounge, really. He used it mainly for parties, sometimes for an intern rendezvous. He spent much of the money on pills, weed, and a brand of vodka with Flexivine-Steinium in it called Smart Booze. In 3 months with Doodad, he devoted 15 minutes to a big idea, most of which was spent writing the idea in big bubble letters. Transparency. He had an intern make copies of the word for the Doodad Board of Directors, 12 laminated copies to gleam fluorescent white at 12 old pinkish white faces. The boardroom was quiet, even after he explained himself. Just a bunch of see-through stuff, y'all know. Like everything was a window on the world, every interior accessible, see-through purses, see-through shirts and jeans. Maybe even a phone where the background would use a constant stream from the phone's camera to like reproduce the world or something. Maybe it looked like the app icons just sat on the world. Y'all know. Glass houses, what's up? One old white man whispered into the ear of an older white man. The older white man asked Lil Phoenix if he could write a song and direct a music video to promote all of this. Lil Phoenix told him he would come up with the illest track yet. It would be a guaranteed hit. And it was a hit, despite being freestyled, slipshod, and simplistic. The music video, too, was just Lil Phoenix grinding his pelvis into the ass of a female glass mannequin. The green screen background stayed green the whole time. Doodad, of course, bought the top chart spots, shelled out millions for 5 weeks of constant hype as the initial transparent products landed in the market one by one. Lil Phoenix lived it up, not knowing the strings being pulled. He bought a house for his already wealthy parents, bought cars, boats, a lakefront estate property in southwest Michigan. But sales were inconsistent and never really that great. Even after Lil Phoenix came out with Transparency Redux featuring Simon and Garfunkel and Britney Spears, where the hook is just Phoenix repeating with Simon and Garfunkel and Spears auto-tuned in the background, that the song itself is just a gimmick to sell transparent shit. Sales couldn't get off the ground. They even threw will.i.am at the problem, but even he couldn't do anything to unsync Lil Phoenix's transparent ship. Maybe the Redux was just too conceptual. Maybe making everything see-through was just a bad idea. It's something Lil Phoenix, who now just goes by Dev Varma, thinks about a lot when looking through his apartment window at the dark blue shirts and stained jeans and sunglasses and heavy canvas bags passing below. All the thick heads stern and in the moment, all the thick heads between solid white earbuds, playing some song that's not his. Thank you. And now I'd like to call back up Paul to introduce our last reading.